Hey everyone, it's TB Shores. I'm back. We're going to pick up here in Daniel 3. First thing I want to point out is this right here, where it's talking about old people, nations, and tongues. That's basically just as you kind of see it. It's talking to all people of all nations and all tongues. And what we were understanding by digging into these words is that it is about a public official announcement. With this word herald, we're understanding it's about a public official announcement dealing with a matter of great importance. So I think the Lord is letting us know some things to anticipate, because we're seeing here it's like we're being told an announcement will be involved. Now, one thing I think I may have mentioned when we first went to Daniel 3, but I didn't mention when we were in that last video, is when the Lord showed me Daniel 3 here, it was in connection of understanding that this was a foreshadowing of the Antichrist and the Antichrist system. And when you have to look at it through the perspective of that, and I'm sure the majority of you already know that, but looking at it through that perspective, we can see that as things progress, we can expect an announcement of some sort. Now, follow me on this as we progress, and maybe that'll shed light as to what kind of announcement. But anyway, let's see, with this word cried, okay, here we see an announcement's going to be made with the word cried. We learned that it is speaking about, it meant to call, read aloud, read out, or shout. But what the Lord actually showed me through that is about, as you dug a little deeper to understand what was buried in the Hebrew there, it's about approaching and addressing someone boldly and aggressively. So it's going to be about an announcement that is handled in an aggressive way. It's presented boldly and aggressively. And then we see with this word aloud, it was talking about strength, army, power, and force. And we did touch a little bit on the different, it said probably a force, as we dug a little deeper into the next word down in the Hebrew. It said probably a force, and then it had army, wealth, and might. And so we know that in many cases military is needed when something is being pushed. And we know that the wealthy, the extremely wealthy, the mighty men of this world are definitely pushing for what is being brought upon the people. So clearly we can see there is some things to pull out of this, in that a public announcement that will be handled boldly and aggressively, and there will be force behind it, whether that means actual military or whether that means just powerful people pushing it, which I think as things progress it'll be all of the above. But surely the Lord is showing us some things here. Now, I'm trying to see if there's something else I need to, yes. When we look at this word command, it says, to you it is commanded. So as we look at that, let's just click into that for a minute here. Okay, as we look into that, we see it's a Hebrew word that simply means command, declare, say, speak, or tell. as we look at the usage to say, to speak, to command, to tell. So we don't really gain any understanding other than just what we know about command, okay? And I don't think I gained any insight off of clicking into the next word back that this came from. So what the Lord had me to do was to look up the word command. And simply the thing that stood out to me is just give an authoritative order. So this will all be done in a bold, aggressive, authoritative order when things start to roll out, so to speak, to where it's more pronounced to us. And this may, I'm not sure, let me look. I know this is talking about when it was implemented, because it says Nebuchadnezzar the king made an image. Well, it's about when he set the image up and commanded the worship. So the Lord hadn't showed me exactly at what time frame this is pointing to, because here we see mention of the image. We see it set up, but down here we see the people being told or being commanded. So I don't know if that's all, what kind of time frame it is what I'm trying to say. I don't know what kind of time frame is in between the setup of the image and the people being commanded. But what he's showing with this, as the people are commanded, it says, then a herald cried aloud, to you it is commanded, O people, nations, and tongues, that at what time ye hear the sound. Okay, we're going to get into this a little more in detail. But at what time you hear the sound, the golden image, ye fall down and worship the golden image that Nebuchadnezzar the king has set up. So when we look at hearing the sound, we're going to break these different ones that are mentioned here down, and I was really surprised to see what is brought out through these. But one thing I wanted to let's see, let's back up to here. This is getting interesting. Okay, this phrase, that at what time, when we click into that, this gets really interesting. Okay, we see the Hebrew word, which is Strong's H5732. And as we come down, we understand it's from a root corresponding to that of 5708, and it simply says a set time. That's the thing the Lord drew my attention to, was a set time, just time. And I didn't understand. And as I clicked in, he told me to keep going, so I kept going. And as I clicked into this next word, back, that's connected with this, we see the definition says used, from an unused root, meaning to set a period. And then it has these two words to compare it to. It says the menstrual flux as periodically. By implication, soiling and filthy. But when we look into that a little bit deeper, we see, let's see, I'm trying to, yes, I forgot this part right here. Filthy rags and stained garment. And when we look into that a little bit deeper, trying to understand just what's being conveyed there, as I looked up the word stained, that held great significance in what we're learning here, because the meaning of it is to leave a mark difficult to remove. And of course, all this is connected to a mark. So I think that holds importance there in understanding that. And then, as we move along to the other meaning of this, we see this word right here, ministration. And one thing that I want to point out as we look at that word, bear with me just a minute, I've got to find my scripture here. Here it is. In Leviticus 15, the Bible helps us to understand what is meant by that. And it's talking about that time for a woman here, it says, and if any man lie with her at once, and her flowers be upon him. Okay, why they choose to use flowers for that, I do not know, but as we look a little deeper into this Hebrew word, well, if I can get my computer to work. Here we go, I think. It clearly shows us that is what's being discussed here. Excuse that noise, that is my little dog scratching on the leather couch. I'm sorry for the interruption. But as we click into this, we start learning what is meant by that. Over in Daniel 3, it's talking about impurities, filthiness, rejection. It's about making, let me pop back over there. It's about making something unclean, okay? That's why it's phrased in this manner. Filthy, stained. And like I said, stained means to leave a mark difficult to remove. Key word there being mark. So as we go back over to where we started here, bear with me, my computer's running slow, I apologize. We see in this here where it says that at what time, we learn it's talking about the time that it's becoming unclean. I'm trying to think of the best way to phrase that. Just bear with me. It's about the time of becoming unclean. And so as we go on through this, and remember, this is all about when the worship of the image is being commanded to be done, okay? And it's about that making unclean. That goes back to understanding how Satan wants to defile God's creation and make it unredeemable. And I'm going to cut this off and we'll pick up here when I get back. Love y'all. Bye-bye.